we're not really privy of how much junk they talk about us out there. Yeah? And they talk non-stop about Shia, non-stop about Shia, to the extent where
Why don't both communities, I'm assuming it means Sunni and Shia, do more to unite the Muslim Ummah, especially during the time where many of our problems are because we as an Ummah are divided? Is it always necessary to point out differences and to talk about like the bad things certain Sahaba did?
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
Can both sides do more? Yes. Yeah, to unite. I think we can. Do both sides really want to do more? I don't think so. Yeah, I'll be really honest, right? Because I've worked in the intrafaith sphere for over a dozen years now. And after a while, you can tell who wants to participate in it and who really doesn't, right? Is it important in the long run for the sake of our problems that we unite? Yeah, I would say so. And I think that if we are united in that way, will it alleviate some of the burdens that let's say people in Gaza and West Bank are facing? Maybe. That's a hypothetical, to be quite honest, right? Because it still depends on how much courage they have to stand up to superpowers like America and the United Kingdom. And so whether they're united or not, I can't see that right now based on the history of how they've stood up against them. But the idea about talking about Sahaba and talking about these things, like I think to a certain extent we are being very naive of what's out there. Yeah, and when I mean by out there, I'm talking about in the world of social media. I think because we only look at Shia channels and we only look at like Ahlul Bayt TV, we're not really privy of how much junk they talk about us out there. Yeah, and they talk non-stop about Shia, non-stop about Shia, to the extent where I have personally had to do multiple counseling sessions of our Shia youth losing their faith and becoming more Wahabbi-like because they are being exposed to these things every single day. And so when we find videos of certain scholars or sometimes from the mimbar where we explain our Aqidah, and in the explanation of our Aqidah, if we have to say certain truths, I personally am entirely in favor of that, because we need to. Otherwise our youth are just listening to these little clips that are out there and they're just being convinced that we are exaggerating, we are putting too much emphasis, we constantly talk about them. No, the level of how much we talk about them versus how much they attack us, we can't even compare the two, because number one, they're 8 times larger than us. Yeah? And so they have 8 times more resources to attack us. And I just think that we're not privy to that. And I don't want you to be privy to that, right? In the sense that, because once you start listening to those channels and start listening, if your Aqidah is not strong enough, you will be convinced. Yeah? And they do it brilliantly. I gotta give it to them, right? So like if you look at certain YouTube videos, they'll say Sunni scholar gets destroyed by Shia layman, and then you click on it and it's the Sunni scholar destroying the Shia person. But they've got the Shia to now watch, and now they're listening to another side, and then they'll be like, oh, but this was my Aqidah, and now it's being destroyed. And so they even target it in a way. And so unity is important, but man, both sides have to step up. We cannot hide from the truth, right? We cannot hide from the truth, and we should not hide from the truth. And if our youth are being affected by these things, then we need to do a lot more of truth speaking than we do right now.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.